All right, guys, we are live for the first time as Retro Ralph. Pretty exciting stuff. I just posted in all the forums that we're live, so we should be good to go. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. I plan on doing this for about 30 minutes, so the plan was to discuss all things Arcade1up and also kind of talk a little bit about what we did today. So on the Retro Ralph station, I posted a video of something I had received in the mail that I was super excited about, which is a Street Fighter 4 arcade board system. So pretty cool system. I actually have a empty Arcade1up cabinet behind me to show that it could potentially fit in there. So it could be a legitimate modification option for a Street Fighter, for a Street Fighter cabinet. As you can see, this is a Street Fighter cabinet. Obviously, it's taken apart right now, so it doesn't have anything on it. It doesn't have a monitor. It doesn't have a marquee. It doesn't have really anything right now. That being said, I was really excited to receive this today. And, I did a little bit of an unboxing of it, but this could be a legitimate option for people that are actually big Street Fighter fans. I did get a chance to play around with it a little bit. I didn't have time to make that actual video today, but I will. So we will have a video of gameplay, how to hook this thing up. So for those of you that aren't familiar with a Jamma connector, it is a lot different than what you'd get out of a Raspberry Pi. So for those of you that have gone down the Retro Pi route, it's probably a little bit more simple. If you followed ETA Prime's tutorial, I think that tutorial is really good for someone that's brand new to modding systems like this. Even though ETA Prime did such a great job and he's awesome at that stuff, there's still a couple little things that I think he even left out. One of the guys that I am in contact a lot with here on our Arcade1up channel is George. I don't know if you see him in and out of the channel. He responds quite a bit, but George had a couple hiccups, like controllers not working with Retro Pi and things like that. And so, if you're not familiar with how to correct some of those things, you have to end up getting down to the command line and some of an operating environment, and some people aren't that comfortable. So anyway, this is the Street Fighter board. I'm really excited about it. But again, unless you're a hardcore Street Fighter fan, this may be a little overkill because, the price of something like this is pretty much the price of an Arcade1up cabinet. So it really just depends on, what you're trying to achieve out of your modification. But for those of you that are unfamiliar with Jamma devices, I'm going to show you something in a second. So just keep in mind that's kind of what the Jamma connector looks like. It's this connector right here. You can see that. If you decide to go this route, though, what I will say is your possibilities are now kind of endless as far as what you can do, because any traditional arcade system around the 90s to early 2000s is going to have this connector. So if you want to make a system that's maybe dedicated to a game that you really like, this gives you that option, and you're running the original arcade board, so the game is going to run exactly how you remember it in the arcade. Some people are really anal about that kind of stuff. I mean, some people will say they don't like Retro Pis, or they don't like certain emulation because maybe it doesn't do the best job of emulating the game exactly how the original game designers intended it to be played. And sometimes that does happen in systems like that. They don't emulate them perfectly. And emulation in general isn't perfect, right? It's an ongoing project. Emulation gets better over time. So I did want to show something, though, really fast. So for those of you that were going to go down this route, you don't have to buy a big, thing like this. There are other systems that support Jamma. There's actually a lot of multi-boards. There's a lot of multi-boards that support Jamma. So something that I was thinking of doing, and I think hold on, it fell under my desk. So something I was thinking of doing, thanks for the props on the jacket, by the way. Something I was thinking of doing is taking one of the vertical Arcade1up systems, such as the Galaga, and putting in a vertical multi-board. So this vertical multi-board is also Jamma. So it uses a Jamma harness as well. I did a review on the Game Elf, the 450-in-1 Game Elf. That's for games that are horizontal displayed. This has all vertically displayed games. I haven't got a chance to play with this yet, but the consensus is that this Game Elf is actually a lot better at emulation and sound and the reproduction of the games than the one I did the review on. So, and I said that in my video that, hey, I don't want my review to be negative on Game Elf as a whole, but that particular Game Elf, the horizontal 450-in-1, I would not recommend at all. Sound emulation was bad. There was some lag, screen tearing, and if you're really anal about the reproduction of things, then I think you wouldn't have a great time with that system. So anyways, but what I was thinking is a lot of people are doing 60-in-1s to the Galaga. This could be a really cool option. So I was thinking one of my videos might be, because I already have a Galaga 60-in-1 that I put a 60-in-1 board in. I may go and, I want that jacket. So Arthur, really quick, I'm going to get sidetracked. This jacket, it's really funny. You know how Facebook just has all these algorithms to kind of show you things that you're interested in or based on prior searches and things like that. It came up with this jacket, and this is like going back, I don't know, maybe I want to say it was almost 8 months ago. And I'm like, man, I want that jacket. And so it was like late at night. I'm in my bed. I'm trying to sleep and I'm on my phone, you know, all this nonsense. And I bought it, but forgot that I bought it because number one, it was really late at night. I think I had a couple whiskey drinks. Like I just was, you know, I was feeling good. I was a little loose and I ordered it. And I forgot about it. And it came like 3 months later. It took forever to come. So I don't even know where it came from, to be honest, at this point. I can see if maybe in my email I could pull it back up. But I love it because it has, you know, it has kind of the wood grain that you would have had in the 2600. So thank you for liking it. I was, when I saw it pop up on my Facebook, I was like, I have to have that jacket. I think it was actually a fairly decent price too. So anyways, back to the Jamma stuff. If you haven't done Jamma before, it's a little daunting, and I'll show you why. So I made it a point to bring out one of my Jamma harnesses that I haven't used yet. Alf is known to make late night. That is very true. That is very true. So, oh, by the way, that's the moderator, so you can give him some. You can give him some crap. He's a good friend of mine, James, who also goes by Dr. Baruch, if I have that right. So, so this is a Jamma harness. So you can see how maybe this gets a little daunting, right? I mean, it has its own power supply connection. You know, it's got 28 wires on each side. So there's 28 on this side. And then there's the reverse side. So there's wires on the top and the bottom. And oftentimes when you're doing stuff like this, most of these harnesses are actually in Chinese. So a lot of times you can't read them. So that's why, I don't know if you watched my YouTube video. If you haven't, go back and do that. It tells you what the pinouts are for. So that's really important because you want to know, hey, what's player one? What's player two? What's button A, B, C, D, E, F? What's start? What's select? What's coin? So, you know, you can imagine when you're dealing with this many wires, you want to get it right the first time and not have to go back and correct it. So I'm a huge fan of, this is something new, actually. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I was not very into the Jamma stuff. I was like, it's overly complex. And I was on the mindset that RetroPie did a good enough job. And it was good enough, so it was okay. And but I will tell you, there's those zero latency encoders that the ones that ETA Prime recommends. Those are good. But when you start dabbling in these and you really start to use some of the more traditional arcade stuff, you do tell a difference in when you hit a button or you turn, you go right or left on a joystick or up or down. You can tell the difference in responsiveness, and it reproduces the original gaming experience a little bit better. So it's one of those things, guys. I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but I think this is going to be, maybe it may have been already used on our Facebook page, but Arcade1up's like a gateway drug to me. So I used to do a lot of MAME emulation, building systems and things like that. And The problem with them was, right, load times, definitely. The problem with those MAME systems at the time that I was doing it, it was like you had to figure out the front end, and it was like, do I use Hyperspin or Maximus or some of these other ones? And it was a lot of customization. So when RetroPie hit the scene and people were, taking builds and throwing them on a place like Arcade Punks, which, by the way, if you guys don't, I can't really condone the fact that you're going to probably download illegal ROMs, but what I will say is Arcade Punks does a good job of collecting a bunch of these great images, and users will create really great images and submit them. So the work has already been done for you. I mean, really, the only thing you need to do when you download these images is connect your joypad or your encoder, and then set your buttons. I mean, that's pretty much it. So that is not the case when you're dealing with stuff like this. You just have to be able to, you feel comfortable with maybe, all the wiring, and you're not going to get a little stressed by this. As long as you can kind of put that aside, and this really looks more difficult than it actually is. So I don't want someone to think that if they go down the retro or the RetroPie route, that's all they have access to. And I can help with this. There's a whole bunch of people online that can help people understand how this all works, and try to take something that seems really daunting and difficult and make it easier for people to understand. So, but again, the one thing I'll tell you, and this is actually in this box right here, I'll show you really quick. Oh crap, it's hitting my keyboard. When you open these up, most of these harnesses do come with a diagram of the pinouts, which is great. Now, what I have noticed is, so you'll see something like this is usually in the box. Again, it looks more difficult than it is. But what I have noticed is that boards such as this one, and I don't know if anybody owns this one, the horizontal version, the horizontal version of this board, it takes one of the pins that would typically be ground, and it's not ground, it's a button. So it's going away from the standard. The whole point of Jamma was so that they'd have a standard type that you could interchange boards, and you wouldn't have to do much modification, because whatever button A was on wire 12 would have been the same no matter what board you put in. Well, they went against the standard, and these are China knockoff multi boards. So I don't know why they did that. I don't know if whoever designed it didn't realize that was the standard. I don't know, but or maybe there was some technical issue when they went and produced it. I don't know if the vertical board is the same. It may or may not be. So that's a caveat on these boards. If you ground that pin, it will actually not work. So anyway, the fun thing is I feel like in our group, at least the people that came from Facebook, we've got various different knowledge levels. So you've got people that have been dabbling in this stuff for years, and then you've got people that picked up their first cabinet and they're like addicted to it now. It's really fun. I mean, it's a hobby you can get into with minimal electronics experience, and you can gain the knowledge as you go, and you're really not going to break much of anything. I mean, you're not going to break much. So what I really wanted to discuss, we only have about 13 people, and feel free to chime in, comment. One of the things I really wanted to discuss here was, what should I do with this? So, I mean, I have this now, this Street Fighter 4 system. Should it go in an Arcade1up cabinet? Like, I kind of feel silly putting it in one, only because it's a $300 cabinet and I'm putting in a system that's probably $300. So at the end of the day, joysticks, buttons, and everything, this is going to be over $600 worth of stuff in here. Now, I will say this, and I've said this to many people on the channel. You almost can't think about the money you're going to spend on this hobby, because no amount of money is really going to be justified. You're going to tinker and you're going to do things, and someone's going to ask you why you did that. And you're going to be like, I don't know why I did it, but it makes you freaking happy. So don't think of the financial investment. And I know some people are scraping up money to buy one of these systems, and they're great by themselves. Don't get me wrong, they are. But it scratches some itch that you have. Like, all of us are probably buying into these retro systems because we're all around the same ages. we miss the arcade and we want to reproduce that experience somewhere else. So I feel like when you have a system like this, you pay $300 for, and it only has 4 games, you're like, oh man, Rampage was great, but now I want to play Mortal Kombat, or I want to play, one of the other Street Fighter games that isn't on my cabinet. By the way, people made Street Fighter 4 cabs that are full size. Oh, that's cool. Is it smart? No. Yeah, that's so true. So that's the thing. It's like, if you do this, you just got to know, like, hey, yeah, maybe it's not that smart. Maybe it's kind of dumb. To most people, it's going to be like, wow, that's a lot of money on something, but it could be cool. So who knows? I may put it in one of these. But the funny thing is, so you guys, if you've seen my other videos, you've noticed normally I have a vertical pinball machine right there. So you couldn't see, the only thing I haven't modified on that Neo Geo system I've built out of Arcade1up is the side. I haven't put side graphics on it yet, but you couldn't see that before because there was a vertical pinball system there. So anyways, I don't know if you guys are going to see this, but so I'm friends with this guy who runs a company. It's virtualhomearcades.com. And I bought the Vertigo cabinet from him. And this is definitely, not really Arcade1up related, but video game related in general. Vertical pinball is starting to really, hold on one sec. But if you get HDMI out of it. Oh, that's cool. It's actually a really good idea. I like that idea. Just do it. I want to see it run. So here's the thing, guys. I'm probably going to start in that Street Fighter cabinet. I'm going to get it going in that Street Fighter cabinet. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But getting back to the Arcade1 or the virtual pinball stuff. So that system was blocking the view of that side cabinet. I actually, I sold that back to him, and I really wanted, I'm not huge into pinball, but I kind of wanted to venture out a little bit into this virtual pinball world. And you may see certain people in the Arcade1up page even posting some things about virtual pinball, or they might have a virtual pinball in their arcade that has Arcade1ups. So this is, I don't know if you're gonna be able to really see this very good, but I put it right next to my desk, but this thing is really, really cool, because why it's cool is it plays, and I'm going to do a whole video review of this thing. Why it's cool is because on the play field right here, it plays the pinball games. And then above it, there's a monitor there. That monitor will play your horizontal games. This actually has arcade games in it too. This thing is so cool. He just left. So I haven't had a chance to even look at this yet and play with it. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited I'm really excited to start playing with that and see, see how that works. But yeah, the guy's name is Ted. He's from a company called, you can go look at it, virtualhomearcades.com. So Dr. Baruch is moderating for me. He's a really good friend of mine. He wants to custom build one of those. So actually one of the videos, I will say the YouTube channel that I have right now, it is very Arcade1up focused, but I want to branch out and do all things arcade. So I have a lot of hobbies, the different avenues of arcades. Like I do a lot of virtual reality stuff with the Oculus. I like these like bar top arcade systems. So I want the channel to be about all retro gaming and not always Arcade1up specific, but for right now, most of the things I'm going to do are arcade specific. But my buddy over there, James, who's on the channel, he moderating, he wants to build a virtual pinball. So what I was thinking is, I've never done that, and he's never done that. I'm probably going to try to. He lives in Utah. I'm in Arizona. We're going to try to get together on some basis to put it together, but document the process, because I think it would be really cool for everyone to be able to, build their own virtual pinball machine, if they want to. Because pinball is one of those things, man. Pinball's pretty damn retro, and I just think it's cool. Like pinball machines in general are cool. And I only grew up playing a little bit of pinball, but I was fascinated by the mechanics of it and like all the mechanical things in there and there was bells and things were going off, and it was really cool. So these machines, actually, believe it or not, these machines have have things inside them to provide you with the tactical feedback stuff. So to feel like it's an actual machine, it's really cool. So anyways, we'll talk more about that in a future episode, but I love the idea of kind of making that Street Fighter maybe mobile, so I can move it around. That's the other cool thing about having a Jamma harness. If it has a Jamma harness, you could remove one thing and put in another. So for instance, like for those of you that were thinking about modding your Galaga, you could put a 60-in-1 in that cabinet, and right next to that 60-in-1, you could put this board mounted against the wall, right? So this could be right here, or however would make it accessible to the harness, right? So imagine this. Imagine how cool this could be. Oh shit! I just totally made all this thing a mess. Hold on. So imagine this is coming off of. Sorry. Imagine this is coming out of your box, right? You've got your wires are wired into your buttons here, and this is coming out somewhere. Well, this could be plugged into your 60-in-1, and you could simply move it from your 60-in-1 over to this board, and now you're using a different board. Now, if you want to get even really creative, and I haven't done any videos on this, I plan to at some point. They now have Jamma switchers that work off of like an actual remote control, so you can switch between two Jamma boards with a remote control. So I mean, there's so many options. I think if you go Jamma, but again, it's a little bit more complex and it's daunting because people look at that cable and they get stressed out about it. I'm gonna look at the comments real quick just to make sure I'm reading through them here. Your wife's good at pinball. That's awesome. Oh yeah, Arthur, that's true. There are forums out there. So Dr. Baruch has gone and done a lot of research. So he's done his research on the pinball side, and I'm the person that really focuses in on more of the traditional arcade stuff. So he comes to me for arcade knowledge, and I go to him for pinball stuff. So he's way down the path on the pinball stuff, even though he hasn't actually built it yet. He's doing lots of research on that. So I'm hoping that over time we can do collaborative YouTube sessions where he can come on and talk a little bit about that. And the thing that Dr. Baruch brings to the table, I think that's also interesting, is he modern games. So he does he's on a couple teams and things like that. So he does modern gaming, which I do a little bit, but not like he does. So we kind of live in different worlds, where I'm more the retro gamer guy and he's more the competitive gaming, things like Overwatch and stuff like that. So I don't really play those. So he's tried to get me into them. And it's gone back and forth. See, I have a little bit of ADD, believe it or not. So, which he can attest to. So some of those games, some of the games he introduces me to, hey Baruch, if you're out there and you can, and you're listening, because I know he's moderating two channels at the same time. What is that game that you had me play that I was absolutely in love with? It's a very involved game, and Persona for Golden, maybe? I think it's called Persona for Golden. I hadn't played a traditional arcade game or a traditional console game in I don't even know how long. And he's like, you got to play this game called Persona for Golden. And it was on a PS Vita, I think. And I freaking loved it. I never did finish it though. But I loved it. It was a really, really fun game. And so it just goes to show you, like, even if you're not a modern gamer, there's sometimes games that will spark your interest, and you'll get into them. So I just find that it just depends. I'm very specific when it comes to that stuff. I either want to play something that's completely mindless or something that requires a little bit of thought but doesn't go too deep, and I can play it and then come back to it later at any time. And it's not like I have to invest 5-6 hours just to get started. So we differ in that way. But anyway, so I wanted to keep this to 30 minutes. So if anybody has any other questions or things they want to talk about, definitely throw it in the chat. But I appreciate everyone jumping on. Hopefully, this just back and forth dialogue is helpful. I think one of the really cool things about this community is I've been doing this kind of stuff for a long time, where I play with the retro gaming machines and try to tinker with them. And I never had a community, though. I never went to Facebook. I was kind of this I was definitely a little bit, I wouldn't say anti-social media, but I stayed away from it for a lot of reasons. So this Arcade1up fan club that we all joined, that Glenn started, Glenn's retro show, it was cool. I felt like, wow, there actually are a lot of people out there that do this. I just never really, I guess I never found a group I connected with that much on Facebook. And so when this popped up and everyone was really into these, I was like, wow, like I actually kind of expected the product to be a little bit of a dud. I didn't think that there'd be that many people that would be into it. And when everyone was going kind of bonkers in the beginning, prior to it being a major launch, it was really fun, and it was fun for everyone to get together. So I kind of feel like it was one of those things where I just wanted to connect with other people that were into similar things, and so it's nice to see that there's so many other people that enjoy the systems. Have you thought about maybe this newfound community might be able to get started? Oh, that would be so cool. So, think about how cool if Arcade1up listens to the community. I feel like we've thrown around so many ideas, and I know some of them might the cost might be too high for Arcade1up to implement. But imagine a basic change to these systems where it has Wi-Fi on it and it connects to your Wi-Fi network and it creates a leaderboard. Like, how cool would it be that if I had the Rampage cabinet, it would connect me, via this Wi-Fi connection to some leaderboard somewhere else? Like, that seems pretty, I don't think it would be that difficult to write the software to do that. Like, that would be so stinking cool for their second wave of cabinets to connect to a community, or even like bubble the scores up to a Facebook page or something. So I agree. That is such a cool idea. I don't necessarily have the software skills to do something like that, but I think it's probably possible to maybe modify the existing systems to do something like that. But I think it would be pretty involved. But the new ones, if Arcade1up would take that as some feedback, I think that would be really cool, especially for the older games. The older games are fun to have your high scores up there, and it could be kind of neat for it to say, well, actually, let's take it a step further. How cool would it be for me to have my Rampage cabinet on, someone else somewhere else has their Rampage cabinet on, and I can actually play with them? But it's a retro game. It's a retro game that's now online, and I can play with them. So my player 2 doesn't need to be standing right next to me. My player 2 could potentially be somewhere else. I think that would be so cool. Arthur, I don't know about that. That's awesome if it does. Maybe we build the community with RetroPie and do something like that. But I love that idea. That's so cool. I think Arcade1up though is starting to realize, like, hey, we actually give a crap about the scores. If those of you who saw the I don't know why I don't like saying this name. Dr. Baruch knows this about me. There'll be little things that will bug me, and they're stupid. Like, I let most stuff just roll off my back, and I don't get stressed out about it. But certain things like bug me, and I don't know why. But I don't know why this name bugs me. The name Berry Sneaky bugs me. I'm sure the guy's great, and he does a lot of awesome stuff, actually. So nothing against him. When I hear Berry Sneaky, it doesn't roll off the tongue, Berry Sneaky. But anyway, he's done a lot of awesome modifications. I think if anyone's going to figure out how to modify the original boards, it's going to be him. And he's pretty far down that path at this point. So, hey guys, we're coming up on the 30 minutes. I love all the back and forth dialogue. Oh, all right. Hold on one second. Sorry, I was trying to see. Oh yeah. So Stephen, it is a known issue. So it seems like if you dig deeper into the pages, you'll notice that there's on the Arcade1up fan page, some games seem to keep high scores and some don't, but it seems so inconsistent. So for the most part, it is a known issue, and the games are not keeping high scores for the most part. So I've noticed with mine, my Galaga doesn't. As soon as it's powered off and powered back on. And there's a funny post that I was not originally a Seinfeld fan. I've been kind of going back over time and watching Seinfeld. And the funny thing is there's an episode, I think it's George, where George he decides he's going to go buy the Frogger from like the local pizza place because he has the high score. He's like so excited that he has the high score. So, but the only way the high score will be maintained is if the machine doesn't power off. So so Kramer hooks him up with these guys. It's like electrician, the shady electrician. And he's like, yeah, man, I got it figured out. We're going to be able to move the machine. We're going to hook it up to battery power. And we got it. And long story short, the machine's like stuck in the middle of the street. It gets smashed by a truck, and George is devastated. But yeah, they actually don't maintain high scores today. Most of them don't. And as soon as you power it off, oh wait. So Scott, which machine do you have that you said all of your machines? Can you just put in the chat which machines they are? Because I have my Galaga doesn't maintain high scores. My Rampage doesn't maintain high scores, but those are the only two I have now that are stock. The other ones are modified, so I don't have anything to really compare it to. But yeah, if you know something there and you want to post it in the maybe Steven's running a similar, maybe Steven's running one of those systems. But yes, Steven, there's been various, just like what Scott's saying, there's been various conversations where some are keeping high scores and some aren't. That's interesting. So see, like Scott's got a Galaga and a Rampage. My Galaga and Rampage aren't keeping high scores, so I don't know why that is when I power them off. So although I have the old Rampage PCB, so Steven, not to get in the weeds here, but the Rampage shipped with a bad version of Gauntlet. And if you contact customer support, they will send you the good version of Gauntlet. And I don't know if those boards differ by how they maintain high scores or not, but I still am running the original board. So interesting. So see, there's a little inconsistencies, and this has been consistent on the channel. And I think that might be because they had so many different versions of their PCBs that they were working on. And when they got them out the door, I don't know if various different ones acted different or maybe passed QA when they shouldn't have. I'm not sure. So that's a great question. We'll have to dig into that a little bit more. But from what I've seen, there's inconsistencies in maintaining high scores across different systems. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you joining me. I really wanted to keep it to a half an hour. I'm going to try to do these in between videos every now and then. So if I go into a video and we talk about a topic, I'm going to try to follow it up with a live stream just so we can talk a little bit more. Please subscribe. Yeah, absolutely. Please do subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate that. I've gotten so much support from you guys. It's been pretty awesome. And I've always sort of been into video as a form of, communication to people, because I feel like, you record a video, you can hit so many different people, and whether or not they watch it live or they watch it in a replay, I consume information really well that way. And I think a lot of other people do as well. So hopefully this was valuable for you guys. You guys had some good ideas around the Street Fighter. I think I'm going to go with one of your ideas originally. I'm going to put it in here, and then we'll see where it goes, and I may, we'll talk about this in a future YouTube episode, but I did modify the Neo Geo box over there and put a 19-inch monitor in. I think if I was going to do Street Fighter in here, I'm going to have to do that. That gets into the territory of a lot more money. So we'll see. I'll see how it looks on the 17-inch. I will post a video of gameplay, but I think I'm going to wait till I get it in here to do that, just so people can see what it would function like in the Arcade1up cabinet in that form factor. So Scott, so supposedly we got an answer to that question about will Series 1 machines still be available? I believe the answer was they're going to do a rerun of the Series 1 machines. I'm going to imagine they're going to probably limit that a bit. I think there were certain Series 1's machines that weren't as popular. It seems like Asteroids, maybe because the 12-in-1 is more appealing, but it seems like the Asteroids machine has been less popular, and it's usually cheaper. I've been seeing that consistently for $199. So that may be one they phase out just because that game is on other systems that they sell. So we'll see. They may do a little bit of a consolidation and release the same games and do the Series 1s as lesser cabinets and do one rerun. I'm not sure. Anyway, again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We're going to try to keep it to a half hour. So I'm a little bit over, which Dr. Baruch knows. We've worked together before. He knows when I'm doing presentations, I always go over. So that's kind of my thing. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Definitely go join the YouTube channel. Subscribe, like the videos that you see, and hit the notification bell. And as I produce content, you guys will be notified. So thanks again. This is an awesome community. I really appreciate being able to talk with like-minded people. It's pretty awesome. All right, guys. Well, have a great night. Hope everyone has a great and happy new year. Take care.